They come from cities and towns all over this land. From the amber waves of the Kansas wheat to the tough back alleys of the city streets, there beats the heart of the aspiring young runner. At age 10, he's the first picked when choosing up sides. By 15, he's a high school star and a hometown hero. As a young man, he finds himself a college hero, the pride of his state. If he's truly gifted, he becomes a pro, capturing the American spotlight. But if he is 1 in 10 million, he will leave all the voices behind. For only then will he become one of the best ever. He is a king on a cruise. Cast in a spell, we all wear his shoes. His heroic course is clear, and like him, we are without fear. At last, he's the champion of his quest, and we too have beaten the rest. He hypnotizes with his stylish grace. We all admire his artful pace. He is a thoroughbred, alone on the track. A graceful wonder who outdistances the pack. But there comes a time when men gallop away. When we cannot emulate, we can only say that they are superstars, capable of any endeavor. And only they may be called the best ever. Pro football, America's ever-changing autumn spectacle. A game where winning formulas are redefined with each new season. One thing, however, never changes. Year after year, the game's most exciting plays are those where running backs defy all odds to advance the football. A runner need not be one of the best ever to exhibit greatness. For after all, greatness is no more than the unconquerable desire to score a touchdown. ever since the days of the old flying wedge. Running backs have been the game's most colorful and exciting performers. Of all the great old-timers, the best was Chicago Bear Hall of Famer Red Grange. Grange was the first big-name college star to turn professional, and his magnetic presence filled stadiums nationwide and turned America on to pro football. The Galloping Ghost, a man bigger than the game itself. By the 1950s, top running backs were in such great demand that the LA Rams traded the Chicago Cardinals 10 players, nearly half their roster, for number 33 Ollie Matson. Ram officials labeled the trade a steal. And then there was the King. As an 11-year-old boy, he stepped on a broken bottle and severed all the tendons in his right foot. Doctors said he would never walk again. His name, Hugh McElhenny. Through the first 4 decades of pro football, no running back ran with more style and grace. Number 14, Hall of Fame quarterback Y.A. Tittle remembers his teammate well.
Hugh McElhenny was the most colorful runner I think that has ever played the game, and maybe the best. I'm not positive about that. His breakaway talents were unparalleled. He was a very shifty runner. He had not the greatest speed, but he had outstanding speed. And when he would cross the line of scrimmage, actually everyone came to the feet because McElhenny was capable of going for a touchdown every time.
He ran like a raw recruit at boot camp, trying to survive the obstacle course. Fittingly, this colorful style had its origins in a fearful childhood dilemma.
When I was a little kid, my mother used to send me to the store at night, and I used to have to walk down this alley. And at the end of the alley, where the grocery store was, there was a light. And but through that whole alley, it was dark. And I used to be scared to go down this alley, and I used to run it. And of course, going through the alley during the day, I knew where possibly somebody might be hiding. I used to run through there and just stay away from those dangerous areas. And that's kind of the way I ran with the football. It was a feeling of fright.
Hugh McElhenny ran scared for 13 professional seasons, and he always got the groceries home to Mama. At age 34, in his final professional season, Hugh McElhenny was still the king. The big back, the bull, a runner whose only broken field move is to lower his head. His logic is as simple as his style. If I can't run around them, I'll carry them with me. They are the Bulls. They pick up the drive-sustaining first downs. They score the game-clinching touchdowns. And most importantly, they have formed the foundation for many a championship team. Vince Lombardi knew that big backs bring titles. Jim Taylor helped the Packers to 5. Don Shula's Dolphins had a perfect season, and Larry Zonka was the perfect fullback. Chuck Noll won 4 Super Bowls, with swift Franco Harris leading the charge. Jim Taylor truly epitomized the classic fullback. Number 31 rode the heels of the Packer sweep all the way to the Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, where he was enshrined as the 4th leading rusher of all time. A few years later, a big fella named Larry Zonka joined the Dolphins. 11 years and 6,700 yards later, Miami had won back-to-back world titles, and Zonka was the driving force. But the toughest clutch fullback was Franco Harris, the NFL's 3rd leading all-time rusher, and considered by many to be the greatest money back ever to play. In 1978, a new big back exploded onto the scene.
Pitch back goes to Earl Campbell. Breaks a tackle at the 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. At the 50, he may go. At the 30, at the 20, at the 10, at the 5, touchdown!
In his first 3 pro seasons, Earl Campbell won 3 straight rushing titles, a feat previously accomplished by only one other man, the great Jim Brown. For 4 seasons, Campbell was so dominant that in a poll of NFL coaches, he was voted the one player, regardless of position, they'd most like to have. Earl Campbell, at his best, perhaps the most potent big man ever to run with a football. That claim is being challenged by a man who has shattered all the rules and established his own. Eric Dickerson, at 6'3", 225 pounds, has the body of a bull and the stride of a thoroughbred. Dickerson is a world-class sprinter, and in 1984, in only his 2nd pro season, he ran for over 2,100 yards, the greatest single-season rushing total in NFL history.
He runs a 4.3 40. For a big guy, he's one of the quickest guys I've ever seen in my life. When he runs, he looks like he's not running fast, but he can hit an opening. He can hit a hole so quick, it's unreal.
Dickerson the call, big hole, 30, 25, he's gone. Touchdown Rams. Eric Dickerson right up the middle.
You're looking at the great one, the Walter Payton, the Earl Campbells, the Jim Brown, and Eric Dickerson. You have one that is in that upper echelon that only come along very seldom. And when you do have one, you catch lightning in a jug.
Dickerson has changed pro football's conventional wisdom. Defenses have never before faced the pressure that this big back brings to bear.
Okay, open 4 right, 41 dive, forward on 2. Ready? Go.
Each Sunday, a new series of ordeals awaits the running back. For an instant, he blocks out all sound. He stares into the eyes of his pursuers, and something of himself is revealed. He realizes the next snap of the ball could be his last.
Set, left, 315, split left, 315.
The average length of a runner's career is a little more than 4 years. His is a world of tape, whirlpools, disabled lists, and doubt. In order for a runner to survive, he must summon up all that is within him. Such a man once played for the Chicago Bears. When Gale Sayers suited up, he played every game like it would be his last. And as a rookie in 1965, Sayers offered a challenge to defenses and a promise to his team.
Give me 18 inches of daylight. That's all I need.
Sayers was a born runner, the kind that comes along once in a generation. Nicknamed the Kansas Comet, he came to the pros at a time when the AFL and the NFL were embroiled in bidding wars over the best college talent. The father of football, Papa Bear George Halas, was not about to let Sayers get away.
We did draft Gale and Lamar. Hunt also drafted him. Well, I knew Lamar had something like $500 or $600 million, and I was concerned whether he'd use that dough to help get Gale Sayers. I was very much concerned about it. Then I saw game film of Gale in action, and I never saw such moves in my life. And I made up my mind right then and there. Lamar Hunt and all his dough won't mean a thing. I'm going to get Gale Sayers.
Those who admired Sayers realized his style, while beautiful, was deadly. Watching him run through the avalanche of bodies was like watching a deer run through a minefield. Ultimately, the inevitable happened. In 1968, a wicked tackle shredded his left knee. Sayers retired at 28 after playing in only 68 games. Still, he was the youngest player inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Gale Sayers, magic in motion. Teammates admired and respected him. If you wish to see perfection, you had best get a hold of a film of Gale Sayers.
Sayers was indeed magic in motion. He wrote his own rules. Then he broke them. He would slip through a hole, then suddenly cut back. A master of improvisation, the possessor of blazing speed. Twice he won the NFL rushing title, once for a Chicago team that lost 13 of its 14 games. Number 40 was a number with wings. Colt lineman once swore that he saw Sayers split in two to avoid a tackle. Another said that as Sayers flew past him, he thought he saw wings sprout from his back. Finally, a shocked Ram defensive back stated that while chasing him, he saw eyes peer out through the back of his helmet. No other running back could be described in such a way, but no other running back was capable of the performance that Gale Sayers turned in on November 25th, 1965. A storm blew off the lake and hovered over Wrigley Field. The turf was soaked, but Sayers was sharp. After scoring 5 touchdowns, Sayers was taken out, but the fans wanted him to go for another. Papa Bear Hallis put him back in to return a punt, and history was made. After Sayers' 6-touchdown game, Hallis said, "That was the greatest football exhibition I have ever seen by one man." The Kansas Comet, to be sure, his like will never be seen again. Long ago, football was a game for heroes, grizzled legends, who played until hell froze over. Then they played on the ice. By the 70s, however, pro football had grown so large that it dwarfed the men who played. The new game needed an old hero. That hero came forth in frigid Buffalo. His mother named him Orenville. The press called him O.J., and later millions hailed him simply as the Juice. Like the legends, he played on the ice. Like a superstar, he set records on it. O.J. had it all: the speed, the size, the moves. But before his rise to superstardom, there were 3 very long and bitter seasons.
My early years in Buffalo were, I guess, frustrating is the best word to put it, because I came out of college, I realized that they were expecting a lot of me, and I was prepared to give it. I wanted the ball.
Simpson rarely got the ball, and when he did, he didn't carry it very far. The problem was not O.J.'s. His offensive line was poor. One coach foolishly tried to make him a wide receiver. Buffalo and the Bills became a special kind of hell. Another Heisman Trophy flop, they all muttered. But in reality, O.J. was a rocket, poised on the pad. All he needed was a man to come in and press the button.
Well, the turning point in my career was obviously when Lou Saban came to Buffalo. Lou had always been a coach who was in favor of the run. More important, Lou brought some stability to the organization because he featured me. He made no bones about it when he came in, and I led the league in rushing.
Saban gave Simpson the ball and 5 solid blockers. O.J. gave the world one hell of a running back. His runs were stunning in their beauty, ballet-like in their grace. O.J. was a symphony on the run. Juice made holes where there weren't any and created daylight out of tangled jerseys. For 9 years, he was a marked man. But an entire defense was more likely to wane and lose its concentration before the juice. Still, every Sunday there came voices proclaiming that on this day, the great O.J. would be stopped.
And we figured out scientifically, without any prejudice, who's going to win the ball game. The Steelers are going to win because they're hungry. They didn't have no breakfast today. They've been waiting for the juice.
The laughter would soon fade away, for once again it was time for the juice to turn it on. Simpson rushed for 200 yards against the world champion Steelers. And he would break the 200-yard mark a record 5 more times. Before O.J., a 100-yard game was the standard. The Juice did that by halftime. Before O.J., the 1,000-yard season was the standard. In 1973, the Juice had 1,000 by mid-season, and everyone wondered, could he gain 2,000? December 16th, 1973, Shea Stadium. In that final game, O.J. needed 197 yards to reach 2,000. Like the legends of old, he'd have to do it on hell frozen over. Those who were there will never forget the sight of him slipping and crawling over his muddied blockers, edging ever closer to that magic number.
And now it's for the 2,000, boys. O.J. running left. O.J. 5 more. Maybe more. I don't know. 96. There it is. They did it. I just wonder if the three of us at this moment fully realize what it has been our great privilege to watch O.J. Simpson run for 2,000 yards in one season.
That last game was not quite over, and I went into the locker room, and they still had 2 or 3 minutes to play, and I was the only guy in that locker room, and I've never felt like that. I can't recall feeling like that any other time in professional football.
He left the Trojan horse and the scarlet pom-poms of USC behind. Over 11,000 yards and 4 rushing titles later, O.J. Simpson left the NFL as the second leading rusher of all time. Indeed, he was the old-style hero for the modern game. In the pre-game emptiness of Chicago's Soldier Field, he's as inconspicuous as any superstar can be. His name is Walter Payton. And by game time, it's standing room only, for no man in football generates more excitement. Walter Payton is the only man in pro football who could have a 3-yard loss described as brilliant. No runner works harder at his craft, and none has more yardage. In an age of egotistical superstars, Payton is the ultimate team player, a man so genuinely humble that his teammates nicknamed him Sweetness. Each Sunday, the soft-spoken dynamo asks the good Lord to grant him strength. And each Sunday, the good Lord delivers. The toughness of a Tonka toy and the quickness of a cat, all rolled up in the game's most fearless running style.
Mine is one that I got from my college coach at Jackson State, Coach Hill, and he always taught, never die easy. He said, die hard. Whenever opposing defensive player is getting ready to tackle you, let him know that he is being hit. And that's why just before I get tackled, I try to explode into the defensive man. And sometimes I break away and sometimes I drive for extra yardage.
Said one NFL coach, one day God just picked up a chisel and decided to make himself a halfback. The result? An unstoppable blend of talents that every NFL coach would love to have.
Walter has two qualities that you don't really have in one running back normally. He has great speed, but not only is that, he has great strength for his size. Not only do you have to plug the hole up, but you got to plug the hole up twice, because he's going to run through you, he's going to run through your tacklers. So when you combine that kind of strength with good balance and great running ability, then you've got to have a premier running back. I don't think any question that Walter Payton is the best in our business today.
No running back has been so great for so long as Walter Payton. For 10 years, this electrifying performer has punished defenses and thrilled audiences. His remarkable combination of running brilliance, boyish enthusiasm, durability, and longevity is unsurpassed in NFL annals. If it's pure, unadulterated excitement you're after, just watch number 34 do his thing. Walter Payton is motion at work. He's movement and energy, and most of all, desire. In 1984, Payton stood at the gates of pro football immortality. On a cool October day at Chicago's Soldier Field, this determined athlete entered a new world, one all his own.
All right, here we go. McMahon asked for quiet. Second play of the second half from the 21-yard line. Walter needs 2 to break the record. High formation. Quick pitch to Walter. Looking for the record. Cuts back. He's got it. He's out of it at 25 to the 26-yard line. Walter Payton becomes the National Football League all-time leading rusher, surpassing Jim Brown, and that's the equivalent to Hank Aaron breaking Babe Ruth's all-time home run record. And listen to the standing ovation.
The motivating drive for me has been for the athletes that have tried, but yet and still have failed to reach that certain achievement. And also the athletes that didn't get an opportunity to, like the Overstreets and the Delaney's and the Brian Piccolos. This simplifies what the game is made of. And what I did out there today is a reflection of those guys, because they made the sacrifices as well.
and it's a tribute to me to bestow this honor upon them. Thank you.
After 10 seasons and over 13,000 yards, Walter Payton stands alone as the NFL's all-time leading rusher. But when it comes to pure running ability, the man at the head of the class is Jim Brown. Those who tried to stop him still speak in reverent tones.
Jimmy Brown was, without a doubt, the greatest football player ever put on a uniform. I mean, he could just do everything with it. And when you talk about tough, he was just tough because he was such a great talent that he could run with that football. He had great balance, he had great speed, and he had great size. At 235 pounds, he could run 100 yards in under 10 seconds as fast as any halfback. That's what made him so tough, because you had to set your defense to stop Jimmy Brown. And if you didn't stop him, you lost the game. It was that simple. But you're not going to stop him forever. When he made up his mind to do it, he was going to do it. You couldn't knock him off his feet.
Brown was not a beautiful runner. He was a power runner. But in the end, his power was beautiful to watch. His achievements loom larger considering that he ran against defenses working almost exclusively to stop him. Each week, Brown was the bullseye in an 11-man target shoot, a marked man, and yet in 9 professional seasons, he never once missed a game.
You know, you would go out there and with 11 guys geared to stop Jim Brown. That's pretty tough for him. You know, you're just almost ignoring everybody else because a lot of times it takes 5 or 6 guys to get him down. Dick Nolan, who was our defensive safety, little guy, Nolan, we used to call him Sticks. He didn't weigh 180 pounds. He came up and really hit Jim Brown head on and got him. It was some shot. And I came over and I picked Nolan up and I said, "Hey, Dick, I'm sorry I didn't get there in time, but great tackle. You really got him, And he says, "Great tackle, hell." He says, "I couldn't get out of his way."
I once thought Superman wore an S on his jersey and hung around with Lois Lane, said one opposing coach. Now I know he wears number 32 and plays football in Cleveland.
He was one great player, and when we drafted him, I thought he was going to be a great back. It turns out that, for my money, he's the greatest running back of all time.
He recognized my talent, recognized my speed and quickness, and after one exhibition game, he decided I was his fullback. He told me that, and he must have knew a little bit about me because that was what really inspired me. All he had to do was tell me that I was his man, and I would then do the rest of the work.
The rest of the work was considerable. Brown gained over 12,000 yards in only 9 seasons, and he won the NFL rushing title an incredible 8 times. He remains the only man in NFL history to average more than 100 yards per game for every game he played, a feat all the more remarkable considering he was the sole focus of every team's defense. It's no wonder that among the great defensive players of his era, Brown had nothing but admirers.
I don't think that anybody really too often gets a good, clean shot at Jimmy Brown. And when you do, you just give it a little bit extra, as hard as you can, maybe thinking, I'm just liable to hit him hard enough, maybe I could put him out of the game or something. By that time, you just feel, well, I might as well help him up, but it's not too often that you do it. When you gang tackled him, when you gave him those extracurriculars, unlike some of the ball players that get a frothing from the mouth and obscene language, you dirty this and that, I'll get you, and you this and you that, Jimmy would get up off the ground slowly, look at you and kind of say hi, go back to that huddle slowly, and he just kept coming. He had a sight for that goal line when he was within a yard or two away from it, he could see it, and brother, he made every effort. It was just like an elephant or a bull just giving that extra little bit of something, and you talk about dragging people. I think he dragged more people from the 2-yard line in than any person I ever saw in my life. You get a good angle on Jimmy, it stop, and then suddenly go against the grain, which is unique and unusual for a man that size, and away he goes.
Brown's brilliance on the field was in sharp contrast to his withdrawn, sometimes moody personality. His critics said he was standoffish toward his teammates and that he wouldn't have done nearly as well against today's stronger defenses. Brown answered his critics when it mattered most, on game day.
I played 9 seasons, I never missed a game, and I never laid out on the football field. Guys now accept the fact that they can be hurt slightly, run off the field, get themselves together, and come back. I might not have the greatest ability of everybody, but the one thing that stands is that when it was time to play, I was there.
Jim Brown is no longer pro football's all-time leading rusher. But then, numbers are not the true measure of this man's talents. Brown was, quite simply, the greatest runner ever to play in the NFL. And that's what will always be remembered. They stampede ahead like angry bulls. They dance out of danger's way. Their speed lets them leave the others behind. Their grace is the game's ballet. Sometimes they take on entire teams in quest of that one final yard. Other times, escape is an impossible task. It's then that they land and see stars. They all hold degrees from the School of Hard Knocks, for each down exacts its toll. But greatness belongs to those stout-hearted few who've never lost sight of their goal. They came from towns all over this land, where they left all the others behind. They transcend the game. To them goes the fame, the very, very best of all time.